A very serious-looking Saina Nehwal. The focus and the concentration. The European and world champion become the All-England champion as well. Carolina Marin of Spain. Moment for both players. First duty of our umpire, the toss of the coin, the choice as to whether to serve, whether to receive, or choose which end of the court the player wishes to start. So Saina Nehwal, the 24-year-old from Haryana, #3 in the world ranking. Twice previously a semi-finalist at the All-England Championships. First female player from India to appear in an All-England final. Last year, 3 titles: the Syed Modi India Grand Prix Gold, the Australia Super Series and the China Premier Super Series at the end of the year. She started 2015 well. She won the Indian Grand Prix Gold, retaining that title. And she's had a good tournament so far this year in Birmingham. In the quarter-final stage, she beat the 2009 winner and #5 seed, former world champion, of course, Wang Yihan. And look at the scoreline there, 21-19, 21-6. In the semi-final, she beat another Chinese player, Sun Yu, who had been the Olympic champion. And again, it was very comfortable indeed, 13-13. So to her opponent, the #6 seed, the left-hander Carolina Marin, the 21-year-old who lives in Madrid. Prior to this year, she had come to the All-England 3 times, and she lost in the first round 3 times. What a giant leap forward it is in 2015. 2014 was a sensational year for her. She won the gold medal at the European Championships and followed it up with gold when only the #9 seed at the World Championships in Copenhagen. She reached 2 other finals as well, including the Australian Super Series, where she lost out in the final to her opponent of today. Quarter-final against the #4 seed, the player that beat her in the final last week in Germany, Sung Ji-hyun, and in the semi-final yesterday against the #7 seed, Tai Tzu-ying. Tai Tzu-ying, of course, had won the Destination Dubai Super Series finals, and again she looked very impressive. But let's mention Chloe McGee of Ireland, the only player to take the world champion to 3 games so far in these All-England Championships. Well, this will be the 4th meeting between the 2 players. The last time they met was in the final of the Syed Modi Grand Prix Gold earlier this year. And that scoreline, it really was close. In fact, Saina Nehwal had to save 2 match points in that second game. And of course, Saina Nehwal had home advantage in that tournament. So this could be very different indeed. So here are umpire Diraj Gunedri of Mauritius, Alan Subu of Denmark, our service judge.
Ladies and gentlemen, on my right, Saina Nehwal, India. And on my left, Marin, Spain. Marin to serve. Love all. Play.
So the world champion nearest to us getting this women's singles final underway.
One love.
Well, Stina, I was mentioning that last time that they played against each other in the final of the Syed Modi India Grand Prix Gold in January earlier this year. And the home advantage for Saina Nehwal surviving those 2 match points that Carolina Marin had.
Service over.
Obviously, different circumstances, neither player on home soil. The All England, the status of the All England, is an awful lot of this going to come down to who holds their nerve?
Yeah, and that's really exciting because it's probably 2 of the mentally strongest players we see here in this final. I think it's going to be a really, really tough battle. Really strong-willed players, both of them.
Service over, 2-1. Service over, 2-all.
Well, both players in these very, very early stages making good use of the body smash.
3,
and I think there's a good reason for that. When you start going for the lines, when you're a little bit nervous, it can be difficult to be accurate. Aim straight at your opponent. No chance of the shuttle going out. It's a clever tactic anyway. Oh, it's called good.
Four, 2.
Yeah, it certainly was. Plumb on the line. It's interesting, Steen, only 2 players from India have ever won an All-England title. Prakash Padukone in 1980, winning the men's singles, and then Pullela Gopichand winning the men's singles in 2001. And of course, Saina Nehwal developed as a player at the Pullela Gopichand Academy in Hyderabad, and then in the middle of last year left that training environment to work with a new coach, Vimal Kumar, at the Prakash Padukone Academy.
Yeah, at least it's really, really good that both former winners are still in the badminton business.
Yeah.
Creating new champions.
Service over, 5-3.
Clear just long, emphasising the point you made about the drift, hitting with the wind.
Yeah, and I actually think that Saina played a little bit too short. I don't think it was on purpose, but I mean, she's playing into the wind, and that probably caused a mistake from Carolina.
gone wide.
Service over, 4.
We talked about the mentality of these two players, but I also feel that they're getting challenged in their sort of strong areas here. Or perhaps yesterday we didn't see Carolina challenge that much on the tactical sort of issues in the game. Tsui Tai relied on her skills, her playing skills, and I think Saina is going to be challenged on the physical part here, where she's been superior so far in this tournament.
Service over, 7, 4.
Gone wrong as well.
Eight, 4.
Yeah, it's very good judgment at the moment from Saina Nehwal. Yes, the verbal
Service
celebrations.
over, 5, 8.
Now evident.
This is one of the weak points of Saina when she's put under pressure in her deep forehand corner. Not a lot of variation from that point.
Service over, 9, 5.
Yeah, it was a nice idea, just seemed to snatch at that defensive shot.
And I think game plan for Carolina Marin in terms of defense should be just to block it and get it over with, because very rarely Saina makes a run for it after her smash. She's not following through at the net on a lot of occasions. Well played.
Yeah, it's very, very positive at the moment. Both players wanting to take the initiative.
Service over,
And we can see
10,
that Saina is
6.
sort of pushing the button on the weak spot of Carolina Marin. Backhand defense. Not at all the same touch as in the forehand side.
Returning the net shot with a net shot, and Carolina Marin was guilty of backpedaling a little bit, and it means that Saina Nehwal has a 5-point advantage at the mid-game interval. No, not much sent from Vimal Kumar.
Porque al final estás dando todo su ataque desde el lado de su rectificado, ¿vale? Entonces, no te esperes la red, lleva la red, pero juega más al lado del fondo de la derecha, ¿vale? Y no insistas, cuando llega barrido, no insistas ahí, cámbialo, piensa al otro lado, ¿vale?
Fernando Rivas, Carolina Marin's coach.
11, 6, play.
I really like the coaching of Vimal Kumar there. Made it very short, nothing much to say. Don't disturb the player. Everything is going according to the plan they made. She's playing short, Saina is playing short on the clears.
Oh, what a smash.
And that's the general idea for Karolina to attack a bit more on this side where she's playing with the wind. There's a good chance that Saina's playing too short. So if she tries to clear it back, she's in big risk of putting it long. Instead, attack, put pressure on the opponent.
Oh, lovely.
8-11.
That's clever. Singles tactics. All four corners explored. Push your opponent to the back, bring them forward, push them to the back again, then bring them forward.
Karolina Marin is not getting enough out of that deep forehand corner now because she plays it way too early and there's no other shots that are similar to the pressure she puts on the forehand corner. So she needs to sort of create some variation in her game. Otherwise it's too easy for Saina to cover that corner.
So in that rally, I thought it looked a good shot to play deep into the forehand corner. It's too early in the rally.
Yeah, actually this rally, it was okay.
Yeah.
She was able to put pressure on her from the net, but she's been trying to clear to the forehand corner to put pressure on her, and that's not possible early in the rallies, I think.
Madhumita, the other Indian coach alongside Vimal Kumar.
And you can see Karolina Marin trying to make a long defense shot from her backhand side, and that is punished by Saina. So
no, is she praying or is she can't bear to watch?
I would go for the last one.
Oh, that's good. You know what I really like about Karolina Marin with her overhead action, she's that early preparation. She gets her racket back ready very early. There she is. And you cannot see which way she's going to go with that, whether she's going to go straight down the line or cross court.
I agree with you quite a long way there, but it's still the early preparation also prevents her from making these steep smashes, quick steep smashes. They are harder to make when you make the early preparation compared to making it a one movement shot.
Yeah.
So both yes and no.
Straight down the line.
And Karolina cannot continue playing the backcourt without putting pressure on Saina Nehwal. If she does that, Saina's shot quality is way, way too good, as well as her tactical awareness. She just hits it where it hurts the most on Karolina. That little deception on the front court, that's one of the solutions that the Spanish player needs to use. Steal some time from Saina Nehwal.
Oh, she put that away with them. Following up well. She seems to be smashing harder in this tournament than I've seen her for a while. Maybe just the adrenaline, or maybe perhaps Vimal Kumar's been working on that.
And she's in good position for the smashes.
Yeah.
So important.
That's wide.
Service over 11-19.
But no problem whatsoever, because it was a mistake from Saina. It was not like Karolina was creating a point for herself, so still a good rally, just a little bit unlucky with the final shot.
Good positioning of the smash, aimed towards the right shoulder, the left shoulder for the left-hander. Quite difficult to defend. 9 game point opportunities.
That's much better, because Karolina needs to change her normal style a little bit here, because she's getting beaten in the fast-paced game, the power game to the baseline and so on. So she needs to sort of take the pace out of the rally. Whenever Saina induces pace, take it away, just block it below the tape on the front court.
She took that early. Oh, that is fantastic rally from Carolina Marin.
$13-20.
Well, I'm surprised that Saina Nehwal has been allowed to take on board some liquid when it's game point opportunities.
$14-20.
3 game points saved. That is good. The straight slice.
20.
Keeping the shuttle straight. Oh, that's great length.
It's like Karolina has loosened up a little bit. I think she's sort of realized that she's lost this game here. Plays really clever shots now. Plays with more delicacy than actual pace and power.
Yeah. I'm not as convinced as you that she's left it too late in this opening game. this time. Saina Nehwal converts and takes the opening game 21-16.
First game won by Saina Nehwal, 21-16.
19 minutes. And what an enthralling and entertaining opening game, which goes to Saina Nehwal, 21-16.
At the Yonex All England. When I packed the van this morning, I put the bongos into the van for you to play on. We're going to play bongos now. Now, if you see yourself on the screen, you just need to play on those bongos. Give them a little tap.
Well, unfortunately, in that 2-minute timeout, we couldn't hear what the coaches were saying because the public address was making announcements. But Steen, if you were involved, if you had been in Fernando Rivas's place, his player, yes, Carolina Marin has lost the opening game, but there was definite signs to me at the end of that first game that, you know, she has the capabilities. What would you have been saying to her?
Emphasizing the last 7-8 rallies where she's been playing really well, sort of taking the pace away from Saina Nehwal. It's going to be a little bit more complicated now because Carolina is playing into the wind and Saina is playing with the wind, and I'm sure we're going to see Saina Nehwal a little bit more aggressive, if that's possible, but still a little bit more smashing and attacking to the front court than we've seen in the first game. So it's not going to be easy for Carolina, and she needs to get her short defense going, otherwise it's going to be difficult.
One love.
Another good, accurate smash from Saina Nehwal. Well, when Carolina Marin won the world title last year, she became the first ever left-hander to win the women's singles at the World Championships in badminton. Do you remember the last left-hander to win the women's singles at the All England, Steen?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Is it a long time ago?
It was Lim Chao-ching.
Lim Chao-ching, 95.
95. Representing Sweden, of course, as they're born in China. Oh, good defence. Oh, I thought that was going wide. Oh, how did she get that back? Great retrieving.
And she's working really hard, Saina Nehwal, and that's exactly the right thing to do when you're on the side of the court where you're playing with the wind. First part of the rally is actually quite good for Carolina, but from the front court, from home front court, when she's got Saina at the front court, she needs to push her to the back court with flat shots. Good reception.
Yeah, it's landed in.
4-1.
well in. There's real signs to me, Steen, that Carolina Marin is in trouble here, psychologically more than anything. She seems to be trying to go for things too early, trying to find lines rather than working the rally.
Yeah, she feels insecure.
Yeah. An awful lot of that is because of the very, very good play from Saina Nehwal.
She's putting pressure on her. She's playing the shots that we've seen her play all through the tournament. High quality shots. She's following up. She's a bit more accurate in the power game than Carolina is. And yeah, everything's going her way right now. And she seems tense, Carolina, as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. Well, this time it's Carolina Marin that tasks to tell down. And the umpire says, yes, that's fine. Oh, that is delightful, isn't it? Well, last week at the German Open, Carolina Marin received a yellow card and then 2 red cards for time wasting, and I'm delighted to say that, although she's redoing the hair at the moment, making sure everything's in place, but so far in this final there's been absolutely no sign of time wasting at all.
No, and it's actually been a bit of the same situation where she was not playing that well in the beginning and sort of seeking advice from the coaches.
They never show much emotion, do they, the two Spanish coaches, Fernando Rivas and Anders Thompson?
No, they sort of have to balance with the player, so it comes out even.
Yes, because Carolina Marin, very animated on court, very expressive. Pushed it long. Oh, so much for my theory that Marin was in trouble.
Yeah,
I thought she did look nervous, didn't she?
I think she was, but yesterday I said she looked in trouble at 16-18 down in the first game against Tai Tzu-Ying, and then she went on to totally control the match, so we should not underestimate the fighting spirit, but neither should we as regards to Saina Nehwal.
No, and that emphasises the point made right at the start about the mental toughness of these two players. Probably the best two in that department on the World Tour.
Also very, very important when one of the players come close to winning the All-England Championship. What happens in their mind?
Do they dare to win?
Yeah.
It was a nice idea, but it is terribly, terribly difficult to control those tight spinning net shots and play a net shot in reply, because this one from Saina Nehwal, look how the shuttle was upside down as it went over the net.
But it's the right idea, because Saina is already moving back, and she should not be allowed to do that from a Spanish point of view. But she's playing well. Saina Nehwal.
Oh, it's going wide. But I know she missed, but was that a better time and a better position to try and play deep into the Saina Nehwal forehand?
Yes, I think so. But it wasn't really fast-paced enough, the shot.
Oh, well, there's a challenge here from Saina
Saina
Nehwal.
Nehwal challenge.
It was called in. She thought it was long.
In.
A bit of lunch in the middle of the All England final. There it is in. Yeah, good call, line judge.
Challenge unsuccessful. Service over 6-9. Saina Nehwal, 1 challenge remaining. Play.
Oh, that is so accurate, isn't it?
Service over 10-6.
Good defence. Oh, my goodness, yeah.
Service over.
She was ready for that body pressure, Saina Nehwal. Could very well score her some points later on. That was the quick, steep attack.
Gone long.
I think actually I'd like to see Carolina use that steep attack a little bit more in order not to give Saina time to judge the placement of the shots. Very well played.
Yeah, playing with a lot more pace on the clears.
Yeah, she can push it a little bit more on this side, playing into the wind. Saina has to be a little bit more careful. And if I was Saina, I would rather be the first to play to the front court than letting Carolina Marin do it.
Just long. So Saina Nehwal has the advantage, a 2-point advantage here at the mid-game interval of game number 2. 34 minutes into the match.
And in the net, no muscle. Only thing when you hit and round the hip, sometimes hit that cross. And from the forehand motion, cross.
¿Vale? Dale seco al volante.
20 seconds. 20 seconds.
Vamos,
desperately difficult to hear what was being said there, but I noticed that for the majority of that timeout, Saina Nehwal was bent double. I know she was redoing a shoelace, but I think there was a sign towards the end of that opening half of the second game where she was left stranded. Do you remember that? And didn't move, just couldn't move at all for one of the little drop shots. And it did go through my mind, is that the first sign that perhaps Saina Nehwal is feeling the pace of this?
I doubt it. I think she's in really good shape. It's been so throughout the tournament. I think it was just a very well disguised drop shot from Marin. But the coaching was a little bit more, there was a little bit more urgency in the coaching, I sensed.
Yeah. I sense that there could be a shift in momentum here. Marin has just won 5 of the last 6 points. Just eases into the lead. This is a big point. Oh, he slammed it in. Oh, there's a challenge here. Challenge from Carolina Marin.
Challenge. Gold in.
Well, she was standing right over it, wasn't she?
But I think it's more or less a hope. Very well played rally from Saina Nehwal there. Responded to the challenge.
Yeah, you were right. It was just hope.
Challenge unsuccessful. Service over, 12 all. Carolina Marin, 1 challenge remaining. Play.
Oof. Well, it looked initially, the line judge, as if it was going to call in.
12.
Oof. Oh my goodness, what a good call. It was long by a whisker. The work rate in that rally and the speed of movement from Carolina Marin. My goodness, she's seen steam to up her pace in that.
Yeah, it was a great rally. One of the best rallies in the match. Both players played well. The pushes from the net from Carolina Marin is doing the trick now. Saina Nehwal is not getting enough time to put pressure on her. So that has sort of changed the momentum a little bit. That was too high clear.
Gone long.
13.
Difficult position for the coaches to judge the length on the back court.
Short. Yeah, got what it deserved. But you're
16,
right, Steve.
13.
Carolina Marin reading the drop shots from Saina Nehwal, stepping in, taking it early, and then she's got those options. She can play it back to the net, all that deceptive hold and flick. And from that moment, she's controlling the rallies. Like that.
Yeah. And she's got much stronger attacking weapons than Saina Nehwal has. She's got bigger reach as well.
17,
and she's not afraid to
13.
come forward and kill it. So Saina has to sort of come up with something that brings her back in control, that gives her a little bit higher lifts from Marin. One of the ideas could be to put deceptions on her shot to the front court. And perhaps try some... There was no deception. But she hasn't really targeted the backhand side of Marin in the service situation.
Well, the way women's singles is developing, emulating the men's singles
17.
with the dives to reach angled shots, the total commitment. I think she ended up... watches it closely.
Yeah. She ended up actually with the wrong foot in front, and that made it very, very difficult to come to the backhand side.
Service over 18.
Clever play from the Spanish player.
Incredible. What a turnaround.
19, 14.
12 of the last 16 points going to Carolina Marin.
And there was the quick attack again. Not using full power, but more focused on staying in balance and following up.
2 points away from this second game.
Well played.
And again, game point opportunities, 6 of them to be precise.
20, game point, 14.
It's difficult now for the coaches, especially for Vimal Kumar, because he needs to prepare the third game, and also what happens at the change of ends. How can I help my player to do a little bit better?
Game
15 of the last 19 points. 44 minutes into this final.
second game won by Carolina
And it is
Marin,
one game apiece.
21-14. 1 game all.
21-14. And what a comeback from that 6-10 deficit to take that second game from Marin.
No vas a tardar en ponerte a jugar, ¿vale? Toma el tiempo que tú necesites, pero ni un segundo más. Eso número uno. Número dos, yo no te voy a interrumpir en nada más cuando tú me lo pidas, y si creo que tienes que hacer barrido cruzado, ¿de acuerdo? Está funcionando, pero creo que le van a empezar a decir que cambies cuando repites al fondo, ¿vale? Cuando tú repites desde low y ella hace barrido paralelo, creo que puede hacer cruzado.
क्रॉस घुमा क्योंकि वो सीधे भाग के आती है ठीक है ना दैट्स इट कम ऑन बच्चे कम ऑन
Exacto, exactamente igual. Las trayectorias y el ritmo este es el que necesita. ¿Estamos? Tú juegas, si necesitas, ahí estamos. Tú juegas, ¿vale? Nice.
Third and final game. Well, one game apiece. The final perfectly poised. But the momentum, of course, Steen, is with Carolina Marin.
Yeah, she must be feeling a little bit better now after equaling the score. Funny thing about the coaching, we couldn't hear what they were saying, but I noticed that the Indian coaches left the court really quickly, and that must mean that they feel that it's part of a mental thing, that she's sort of feeling the pressure. They don't want to put too much information onto her, whereas Fernando Rivas was using almost all of his time. Of course, important to try to get Carolina to play a little bit better on this part of the court than she did in the first game.
Yeah, it's good judgment.
Service over, 1, learn.
And from an Indian perspective, very important that Saina Nehwal has the advantage at the change of ends, because it's obviously the players have done better from that far side of the court. Oh, that's a lovely net shot.
And what a lift.
The opportunity was there.
Service over, 1-all.
I don't think that lift from Carolina Marin was full length. No, it wasn't. You can always tell by a player's feet as they play the overhead shot, and Saina Nehwal's feet were well inside that double service line.
But that's one of the tools when you play with the wind and are forced to lift. You can't perhaps lift precisely the right length, but then you can lift as high as possible, because that makes it harder for the opponent to make a good attacking shot. Another important thing playing with the wind is putting a little bit of deception to your shots. We've discussed it earlier. Putting a little bit of deception into your shots makes sort of takes away a little bit of the power in the shot, so the wind doesn't take it long.
3-1.
Good defence. Well, the Indian fans here in Birmingham really trying to get behind Saina Nehwal. What a good rally from the world champion.
Service over, 4-2.
She's absolutely commanding the rallies now, Carolina Marin.
And I really don't like the look on Saina Nehwal right now. She looks really frustrated or almost stiffened. She's not putting any pressure on Carolina Marin the way she did in the first game.
No.
Soft shots.
I don't think she's been the same player. She was totally deceived in that second game by that drop shot, and she was left stranded.
Right now, I would think she has this feeling that if I move a little bit too early, I will guess wrong. And that's a terrible feeling, a feeling of insecurity.
I don't believe it. Oh, it's gone wide. Had the dive, down on her knees, got back up again.
Service over.
And seemed to get the next shot with ease. Look at that. Quite magnificent.
I think a sigh of relief from Saina as she saw that go wide, because that would have been devastating of losing that rally. That's the solution. Saina played clearly too short. So instead of trying to play clear back again, quick attack. No, these shots are not going to do it for her, for Saina. She needs to induce pace in the rally. She's had the advantage whenever the rallies are fast-paced.
Yeah. But that's why I asked the question, Steen, a little earlier about whether there was a first sign that she's struggling physically, and I don't mean stamina-wise. I mean that because she is so reliant on getting to the shuttle early to put that pressure and pace on her opponent, if that drops by just a fraction, it has quite a devastating effect on her game.
It has. It has.
Oh, look at that. Again, left stranded.
Service over, 9-4.
You could be right, Jill. You could be right that it's a physical thing. I still think it's more mental.
Well, look at that purposeful walk after winning the rally.
10-4.
Gone long.
And she's down 27-8 from that point you mentioned, Jill, from 10-6 in the second game.
Yeah.
27-8.
That is an astonishing statistic.
Para que tú bajes el ritmo, no bajes el ritmo, no te metas en ese juego. Mantén el agresivo usando la punta, pero siempre mete intensidad.
through. And when you play to the back, you keep that fight. Don't worry. It's keep it. Come on.
20 seconds.
Come on.
20 seconds.
Well, just caught the end of that, which was, come on, you can do it, trying to give her the belief. But if you are right, Steen, and the fact is that Saina is struggling psychologically rather than physically, that's a big ask.
Yeah, and I think the seriousness of the situation has sort of dawned on the Indian coaches. If it's mentally, they need to take more responsibility. They need to go in and say, do this, do that.
Yeah.
So it's not up to Saina anymore, because that's the problem, that you don't really make the choices. You have so many thoughts in your head. So you need the coach to be more directive when you're down mentally. And if she's down physically, I mean, then it's just game over. If it's mentally, then we should see her at some point get back in it when things are hopeless enough.
Well, to be honest, I can't see it. I mean, the way that Carolina Marin is playing right now.
34.
She's not giving Saina Nehwal any sort of a chance.
Saina's not going to win by playing drop shots. When she's got the chance, hit it, go for it, try to put pressure on your opponent. Playing soft-paced shot is not going to do the trick.
Well, she tried, but she missed it.
54.
Interesting is that I read a number of previews on this tournament, and none of them have mentioned Carolina Marin as a possible winner. That's a little bit of an understatement or misunderestimation. Underestimation.
Yeah.
Thank you. Not mentioning the world champion.
Yeah, well, of course, she's never won a Super Series title.
No.
Only been in one final, the Australian Open, where she lost to her opponent of today. Oh, it's extraordinary that you can win a world title before you've even won a Super Series. But that's what she's did. Gone wide.
Probably the last chance now for Saina Nehwal. Needs to get 4 or 5 points now.
It's gone long.
Service over 17-5.
Well, for Carolina Marin, this is her third final of the year. Obviously lost in the final of the India Grand Prix Gold to her opponent of today. Lost last week in Germany. And it looks very much as if it's going to be third time lucky. Not that luck has had anything to do with it. She's played quite brilliantly. Oh, well, there you are. There's the curse of the commentator.
Service over 6-17.
And exactly 1 hour, this final has been in progress. Oh, an error on serve.
Service over
Saina Nehwal.
18-6.
And I suspect it's all over by the celebrations for the Spaniard. Overdone it. Well, Steve, you asked the question, you know, when it gets near to winning, do you dare to win? When you have such an advantage, that pressure that we suspected would happen is not going to happen.
No, probably not. She needs to be closer. I can't help thinking here we have the two Spanish coaches, excellent coaching, didn't look good. One game down, trailing in the second at the interval as well.
Yeah.
But they found, together with Carolina Marin, the right recipe.
2 points away from the All England title. And championship points, a whole host of them for Carolina Marin.
7.
She's done it. The world champion becomes the All England champion. Her first ever Super Series title. She goes to embrace her coaches. That's lovely to see, but spare a thought for her opponent. Saina Nehwal gave it her all. Obvious disappointment for Saina Nehwal, and the sheer delight for Carolina Marin, first ever Spaniards to win an All England title, first left-hander for 20 years. She is a remarkable athlete. Their confirmation of the score, 1 hour and 2 minutes to win through 16-21, 21-14, 21-7 in the deciding game. Well, it was sensational. From 6-10 down in that second game, she played an outright winner, left her opponent stranded, and from that moment she seemed to have the belief, and Saina Nehwal appeared to have doubts. The winning moment, the coaches embrace, their player has become the Onyx All England champion. Throws her racket to a lucky fan in the crowd. Well, what a moment for Carolina Marin. Yeah, well, we can have a word with Carolina. Let's go down courtside.
Let's get a word with our champion in the women's singles, Carolina Marin. A great battle to round off a tremendous tournament for you. Did you feel in great form coming into the competition?
Yeah, I feel really, really good during this week. First day was not so good, but then I just tried to keep my focus on this tournament, and then I could get the title, so it's amazing.
The match didn't get off to the greatest start for you. Saina was in great form in the first game.
Yeah, first game I felt really nervous and I couldn't control myself. But then I just tried to keep going and yeah, getting some better on court.
Why is this competition, why is this tournament so special to you?
I think for all the badminton players it's really important, this tournament, and for me as well. So to win this tournament is amazing, so yeah.
A word about Saina Nehwal. I think it's the first time you've beaten her in the heads-to-heads, isn't it?
Yeah, I lost 3 times against her, and this is my first time, so to be her, Saina Nehwal, in the final of the All England is really good. I'm very happy.
And let's hear it for your fans.
Yeah, fans and the crowd here is amazing, and thank you so much.
Carolina Marin, the women's singles champion!
Her first ever victory over Saina Nehwal. Her first ever Super Series title. And it's the biggest of them all. The Onyx All England Championships.
Ladies and gentlemen, time for the presentation for the women's singles final. Please show your appreciation to our presentation party. Ben Yoniyama, President of Yonex Company Limited. Derek Butler, Chairman of Badminton England. And Diana Troop, Member of the Board of Directors at Badminton England. Our first presentations are to our officials, umpire Diraj Gunadri of Mauritius and service judge Alan Grusubi of Denmark.
First, the presentation to the court officials made by Diana Troke, our umpire Diraj Gunadri of Mauritius and the service judge Alan Subu of Denmark.
Let's hear it for the runner-up in the women's singles from India, Saina Nehwal!
Well, of course she will be disappointed, but to reach the All England final, the first player from her country to reach the final here at these prestigious championships.
Of Badminton England.
No female player from India has ever been as close as Saina Nehwal.
And let's hear it for the winner in the women's singles from Spain, Carolina Marin!
The European champion, the world champion, becomes the All England champion as well. Her first Super Series title. And it's the biggest of them all. The presentation made by Ben Yoniyama, President of Yonex Company.
Ben Yoniyama will now hand over the trophy. Ladies and gentlemen, the Yonex All England Open Badminton Championships Women's Singles winner from Spain, Carolina Marin!
Well, quite frankly, 12 months ago when she lost in the first round of the All England for a third consecutive time, who would have thought that she would go on to become European champion, world champion, and a year later, All England champion as well. An astonishing rise to stardom.
Great photo opportunity.
And the first ever player to hold all these three titles at the same time.
So she will do her lap of honour. Yes, all smiles. All the troubles last week in Germany are put behind her. They say the chest of a champion is how you fight back. And my goodness, hasn't she fought back well? Yes, all smiles now. The tears a week ago in Germany. Well, it has been an astonishing championship in the women's singles. A new champion in Carolina Marin. Well, what a wonderful performance by Carolina Marin. And after that women's singles, we turn our attention to men's singles. The only a final here this year featuring the number 1 and 2 seeds. Chen Long, the world champion, against Janne Jorgensen, the European champion. So the players are ready. Let's go down courtside and join our MC, Howard Bentham.
Time to welcome the players from China! The number 1 seed, Chen Long!
The world champion, Chen Long. Appearing today in his